Peace and love, you beautiful miracles of a spiritual level of being. Nathan here from a spiritual level of being, and you have a spiritual level of being. And today we're going to be discussing the historical Jesus. Now, in my book, Gnosis Through the Ages, I do mention about the historical Jesus. I also mention Gnostic subjects and spiritual subjects in Christianity. Now, the thing here is in the Bible, we have many mistranslations, and some of these mistranslations were in fact done on purpose in order to cover the tracks, to remove the Gnostic and Essene teachings from the Bible, to remove the esoteric teachings. Now, you see, the word virgin that was used actually means young maiden or young girl in Hebrew. They used the word Alma. Now, the word in Hebrew for virgin means Bethula. What was Bethula? That means virgin, which is nowhere in the Bible at all. Now, this including the virgin sacrificing scenes that I've mentioned here on my channel with Yahweh demanding virgin sacrifice. This is derived from the pagan myths of virgin sacrificing. So the words that were actually used was Alma, so young women and young girls. Now, this being said, some were infants that were demanded to be sacrificed by this evil creator god, Yahweh, if you will. Yahweh in Gnostic terms. Now, there are ancient writings from Greek philosophers and even ancient Jewish writings stating that Jesus was born out of wedlock, so born from adultery, or that his mother Mary was raped by a Roman soldier or was in love with this Roman soldier and he died before they were able to be properly wed. Now, there are stories of this Roman soldier was half Samaritan. His name was Tiberius Julius Pantera, though by sources and historical records, for what we know about him, he was Phoenician. And there are stories that state that Jesus was from a Phoenician family, as the Phoenicians were close to the River Galilee. Now, they were a Canaanite community. Now, the story is that this soldier wasn't quite allowed to marry Mary as he came from a different background. Mary's background was Jewish or Essene, and so he joined the Roman army in order to become a Roman citizen, so then he could marry Mary or marry whoever he wanted, but he died beforehand. Now, the thing is, his name, Pantera, could come from the word pantheros, which is Latin for virgin. Sorry, Parthenos, my bad. But the Canaanites, some believe that Jesus was the son of Yahweh and Yahweh was the son of El, making El the grandfather of Jesus. So Jesus being even Yahweh in the flesh was some beliefs too. So some believe that Jesus was Yahweh in the flesh and the son of El. So the Canaanites all had a mixture of different beliefs, as Jesus had many different religious followers following him, from the Canaanites to the Essenes to the Greeks, even Zoroastrians. Now, there's stories of Jesus being warlike and anti-Roman, but this doesn't make sense, as the stories of him saying those who live by the sword die by the sword. And early Christians, Gnostics and Essenes, were persecuted by the Jews for not joining in on their rebellious acts against the Romans. Now, another thing is, Joseph is not mentioned in the letters of Paul, so it could be possible that Joseph was a made-up character in order to cover the tracks of Jesus' birth. Now, some stories state that Joseph was the father of Jesus, and Jesus' name is Yeshua ben Yosef, which is Jesus, son of Joseph. Now, there's also some that state Jesus' name was Yeshua ben Pentara, which means Jesus, son of Pentara, the Roman soldier who I just mentioned. Now, the Gnostics, they see the virgin birth as symbolic, meaning that all souls were born of a virgin, and you see, this is a very, very different context. So these stories are not meant to be taken literally, but symbolically. Now, we also have the adoptionism belief that Jesus was adopted by God during his baptism by John the Baptist. This belief was found amongst the Essene communities. Now, we also have the belief that Jesus wasn't actually a body, that his body or flesh was an illusion, and that he was a divine spirit that had always existed and was sent by the true divine, sent by God. This belief was also found amongst Gnostics and Arian Christians. Some believe that Paul, who seen the spirit of Jesus, was of this belief, that he didn't believe that Jesus actually existed, but rather was a divine spirit that basically would appear like an angel. Now, a lot of Paul's story has been mixed in with Simon Magus and Marcion, and there's a lot of mistranslations and also deletion of ancient text. Now, the thing here is also that this belief of Jesus being a spirit, some believe that Jesus didn't even exist at all, and rather this was a figure that you could attain for yourself. So the idea or concept that you could achieve. So you could be like Christ yourself, that you could be this basically best version of you. There were also Gnostics that believed that Jesus was a regular human that attained divine gnosis. spiritual knowledge. This of one I particularly believe myself. Now, Jesus had many different followers. He had those of the Zoroastrian faith, those of the Greek religions, and even those of different Jewish communities, such as the Essenes and Zealot Jews, and even Canaanites. So it's more than likely he had his own idea, as he could speak different languages, he could write different languages. So it's more than likely he was spiritual, bringing people together, and this is why he was also hated by the political and religious elites, as he took away their powers and he was giving the power back to the people. A divine relationship with God, not with the priestly class. So peace and love everyone. I love you all. Connect to one mind and soul. Namaste.